All right, guys, so I have ventured into doing the suspension on my car myself because I've discovered just how much the dealership and auto mechanics mark stuff up. I mean, it's not a surprise, but it kind of is when you really find out how easy some of these things really are to do. If you've got some tools, might have to buy a couple tools, but still get the parts, get the tools, you're still going to spend way less than you're going to pay someone to do it. If you've got the time and you've got a little bit of mechanical ability, this is not that hard to do. So I'm going to show you how on this car I'm going to save about $1,500 doing this myself. And just on the back suspension, back shocks on a car, they're going to charge $700 to $800 just to do the rear shocks. They're going to charge you a couple $100 a shock, and then a good couple $200-300 to do the work, and it's just not necessary. So I went on carparts.com is just the site that I found that worked well for me. Got front struts. So the front on this car, there's a Kia Soul 2016. The front struts, I got the full assembled loaded, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. Loaded assembly for the front, and then the back is just a single shock. It's a shock with a separate spring. You don't have to mess with the spring at all, and it's just the shock. Super easy. So this is what I got. I got, in this case, for the back, I got the KYB is the brand shock. This is what it comes with. There's also comes a nut that's part of the assembly, a little bit of instructions, and you're good to go. This is a pair of them. There's another one in here, and that's all that's in there. It's pretty simple. And then for the front, this is a fully assembled strut. Now on the rear, there's no left or right. There's no passenger or driver side difference. They're the same thing no matter what you do. For the front, it is specific, and it's about which side this guy is on primarily is the big difference. Okay? Set this down here. Oh, and there are the nuts for the top here come with it, some new ones. So that comes with it. And that's it. And so what this means by loaded, it means you don't have to have the spring clamps, okay, to mess with the springs and compress them. You have the option, if you want to get those clamps that can hold a spring compressed, you can get just the inside piece, and I think this flange comes here, and then with the bottom piece, and then you keep the original spring. It's a little less expensive, but you got to have that extra tool. It's a little tricky. You got to compress them. They can pop out on you. These are really strong springs, as you can imagine. It holds the whole weight of the car. But you can get these kits. Now, you will find some videos that say, oh, there's, some of these assembly kits are straight out of China and they're super cheap and they're going to fall apart or they're going to be super, super hard. It's absolutely, it could be valid. Just try and do your research about long brands that have been around for a while. KYB, pretty well-known brand, been around for a while. This guy is the Quick Strut. I believe it was Monroe, I think is what I got. But FCS, KYB, Monroe, been around for a while. So you can usually trust those brands and get those. Not to say they weren't necessarily made in China, but at least they've been around for a while and got their specifications straight and things like that. So, and there are other brands that are perfectly good and fine. So we're going to get started with the simple stuff here first. We're going to go ahead and get the lug nuts loosened up before we start jacking this car up. It's always how you want to start. Otherwise the wheel wants to spin while you're trying to break loose the lug nuts. So I have this nice little set here. This brand off of Amazon. This brand is Lexavon. I've got a couple things from them here that I'll be showing you. This is a nice set. It's got different sizes, mostly lug nut based, but of course, 21 millimeter, 22, 15, 16, 7, 8, 3/4, 13, 16, and 19 and 17 millimeter. So, but it's a little bit deeper than average, so it's good for things like lug nuts. Anyway, it's got this little adapter that then you can put onto a socket or breaker bar like this. You can use, of course, the thing that comes with the car, but I just find breaker bar, it's a little longer, it's a little easier to break things loose. That's it's the special lug nut there, anti-theft lug nut. I gotta get the right piece for that. So I'll put on here. Okay, that's as loose as I want to get those. I'm going to put my parking brake on. Find the place it likes that to be. Okay, it's about as high as that guy likes to go. I do have the parking brake on, of course, so it actually doesn't move. But this guy out. Since these are loose, I can use this. This is not a high torque. This Ryobi just doesn't happen to be a high torque one. You can get high torque impact electrics, and even Ryobi has them. When I got this, I was doing more woodworking stuff, so I didn't get it with the higher torque in mind. But it still speeds up the process once you've got it broken loose. So what we're working with is these two bolts up in there, and then down here there's just one bolt here. We're gonna get a better view of this. Hold on to this guy here, and then turn on the one in the back there on this. And that's it. And then that comes out. It really is that easy. You see the spring here is separate, you know, and springs usually last a really long time. You typically don't have to mess with those. You want to make sure there's no like apparent, you know, excessive rust or, you know, anything going on here. This is always good to kind of check the condition of things. You know, you might see a little dirt and debris. You can always brush some of that out. Maybe even get a little compressed air, blow it out. No big deal though. You can check any other components here. You see this is not independent suspension in the back here. It's all connected on this one main deal here together. But it's good to just check any other little points where there might be some gaskets or some rubber boots, or, you know, check the back of the wheel here. Everything looks pretty darn basic and in good shape. Look at the brake pads. I mean, it's good to just kind of inspect everything while you're in here. Got plenty of meat left on the pads. This hose looks in good condition. That's the brake line. Nothing funky going on in any of the joints or junctions here in the brake lines. All looks in really good shape. All right, so I've noticed about Kia, maybe they all do this. Well, it's got a little 10 on the head of the bolt. It's a 14 millimeter bolt. That must be just their kind of like model number or something, or size numbering. I don't know. But it says 10. If it says 9, it's a, or if it says an 8, it's actually a 10 millimeter. So anyway, I've been noticing some trends. Anyway, 14 millimeter is what you need to know. Breaker bar, I was able to actually get up here relatively easily, really. And again, same as the lug nuts, get it a little bit loose, and then you can likely get in there with, you know, some kind of power thing. As you got like air compressor tools or high torque, you know, tools that can just break it on its own. Like I said before, I don't, so I've got to break it a little bit first. Okay, so one thing I did almost forget to do as I was loosening this is you want to have some support. If it's an independent suspension, so like the front wheel will do this a little differently. Front wheel, we would have it like right under here, because this whole thing could just kind of like fall down or do something funky. Of course, you don't want it to do that. In this case, since it's just a straight, I don't know the technical term, but just they're connected, they're not independent. I've just got a stand just under this main piece here, so that should support really everything. It's more if the jack fails on me. But generally, the way this is made, this isn't going to flop down on me. So anyway, I've got this last one. It's just about out. I don't want to completely take it out until I mess with the guy under here. And so I'm going to actually show you one really quick thing. Yeah, there we go. I just realized this thing, it's not going to spin anywhere because it's got this thing right on it. If you see that, this little stopper, this little plate. So that's actually not going to go anywhere. So all I have to do is worry about the back of this. 19, that's what that is. So 19, pulling out the breaker bar. I'm going to come around the back side of here. All right. Get something that's got a tiny bit deeper throat. I'm going to use the thing I was using on the lug nuts. Oh, look at that. My impact driver couldn't do it. This tiny little ratchet can. That's kind of sad. Like and subscribe. Then maybe I can afford the higher impact one. All right. Still pretty easy. Little finagling. Of course, getting in to that. Just getting in there, getting that broken loose, but no big deal beyond that. I'm going to grab my rubber mallet. I should have had that out. All right, we'll take just a rubber mallet. Oh, look at that. Just bam, pops right out. I like to use the rubber mallet just in case I miss and I hit something important. I'm not using a metal hammer at least. Hopefully do a tiny bit less damage. Like I said, I left that one last bolt up top just a little loose. All right, there. Got that last bolt on the top out. And I do want to make sure I remember that this was from the back one versus they really do look, these are the ones on the top, they really do look the same. I think we're fine. But, just in case. And then I got, this bolt, and it was this nut that was on the bottom there. Okay, have those set aside. Like I said, pretty easy peasy. So now, what we need to do, though, is, so we're going to use this top part, and that goes onto the main one. And so I'm going to show you that in just a second. So you got to take this top piece off. All we do for that is 17 millimeter, and I use this deeper one just because it needs a little more. Six. That's a pain. I should be able to just kind of just kind of do it by hand there. Bingo bongo. All right. Obviously, you want to hang on to this guy. Hang on to that guy. Remember how it goes on. This is bottom, top. That's the top, so I'll keep it that way. And then this is the part we're replacing. Set him aside. Get our new one out. Top there. I'm going to get the new fresh little nut that came with it without slicing my fingers open, hopefully. There we go. Yeah, it actually hits like a bottom. Okay, good. That's all nice and tight. Good. Okay. So, I'm ready to start putting this thing back in here. This is where I want to make sure I've got my pieces ready. Need my 14 millimeter with a little bit of an extension ready to go. So I'm just going to slip this guy up there. Get these nuts started by hand, I think would be the easiest. I'm going to dip this behind the brake arm in here. This guy in. Yeah. It's kind of got a little cradle that can just sit in here too, just to like get ready to go. There, I got it. Actually give the bolt a little tug and make sure he's hanging on there. Okay. Just, hard to see. It's just one of those things. They don't make them super easy to do, otherwise everybody would do it. Mechanics wouldn't make any money. There, okay. He's in there. So while that's loose and I got plenty of play, I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom again. Just get it started, get it fitted up. There we go. Then turn. There we go. So there's the that's the parking brake thing. It's just right there. Just turn the thing the right way, just so it passes it easier, and then you can flip it back where it needs to be. If you remember, it's got that little kind of retaining, that little kind of piece that's welded on there to keep it from spinning. Oops. Yeah, okay, just get him snug. There. I'm going to go a little bit more by hand because this is, in fact, there. Try this. There. Okay. Then, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm going to get my torque wrench out to make sure everything's really as tight as exactly it's supposed to be. So I'm glad I checked stuff. I had it wrong on the sole. I was going by the sole. These upper bolts are about 50. So crank that puppy down. It's probably there. Crank that puppy down. Tighten. There it is. And then I'm going to do the back bolt. Ooh, I'm getting it on there. There he is. Bam, done. Okay, bottom bolt is actually 80. So let me change that. It's also a different size. Bam. That's all she wrote, guys. Put the wheel back on. We're good to go. And then, of course, torque those. Lug nuts, about 80, which I think is where I'm at. Yep. Done. Actually, do the crisscross thing. You want to skip around. Check. There we go. And we are good to go. Get this guy out. Let's see.
That is a new shock on a Kia Soul 2016. I'm gonna go do the other side.